We are live.
And welcome to episode 30 of the podcast, How Do You Know That, with Robert Hollis. We are so glad to have you with us today. Now, before we get things going, if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit the like and share buttons as well as the subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you are listening to us elsewhere in the podcast universe, please like and share this with friends and help us spread the word. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community, the Inner Circle, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. There will be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special breakthrough sessions every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific to help you move on to the next level. Today is episode 30 of How Do You Know That? And our topic is what a year it has been. Wow. Now, allow me to introduce our host of today's show. He is an entrepreneurial evangelist renowned for his incredible achievements, and he is also known for inspiring countless of individuals around the globe with his unwavering determination and spirit. And he has also helped 67 people as of this date become millionaires. Known as a mentor, a GPS to success, and a dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Hollis.
Thank you, Craig, the hostess with the mostest, and it has been an incredible year, and we have you a lot to thank for that. Thank you so much for hosting these, and we also have Matt along with us here, which is awesome. And
Hello.
I just think this is a great year. Now, some of you I know probably are on this, and you're going like, well, 23 wasn't a great year for us, and sometimes we got to go through the winters to get to the falls and spring to get to the summers.
Thank you,
And
Jim
so
Rohn.
yeah, I if there was only one thing that I would say about 23 and this year is, again, I continue to push myself to learn more so I can do more, and I always do. So I'm trying to think of a year that I didn't, on purpose, with intent, learn new things that I could share with others.
Oh, that's interesting.
And because I'm obsessed with learning new things, I immediately apply those new things. And every result that I've gotten has got me to where I am today. And so when I thought of this title, I was going like, wow, what an incredible year it was. It was just us consistently figuring it out, doing new things, doing different things, finding what works, what doesn't. And again, I'm one of those people that I heard a great phrase that I was sharing with Kyle. And the phrase is, what passion really is in life, when you know you're passionate about something, listen to this definition, is that you spend so much focus, excitement on doing that one thing that to other people, it looks like you're sacrificing. So when everybody else looks at it, and me and him were talking about, people that are live streamers, you know what I mean? And, because Kyle knew them so well, he's going, yeah, Mom, but you don't understand. They spend 14, 16 hours a day streaming.
Yeah.
So he looked at what other people might have, and his first thought was how much they sacrificed, instead of looking at their current lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, any of those things. Like, I really think too, Dad, when we think about the year that we've had, there's been so much growth in general in all of us, but I feel like I really gained a lot more optimism this year than I've had in the last couple, just of humanity and where things are going in the future. I'm very optimistic about things nowadays. To the point where, like, when I come across people that are very pessimistic, they're like, next year's an election year, it's going to be crazy. I'm like, there's been an election year every single 4 years for president. So you've been saying that. But I think that it's like just genuinely my optimism of being lifted up this year, not just by what we've started here, but then also just the new inventions and where those are going.
Right.
And I love what you shared, Dad, because I think that's so true. Like, a lot of people grew in 2023, and some people will be doing exactly what you said. They'll be looking and going, what did they sacrifice for that? I'm not willing to sacrifice for that. And it's so interesting when you're in things, how you don't feel that way. Exactly what you're saying, when you're in that optimistic area, right? So it's like, oh, if you do this, and me and Craig were kind of talking about this, right? Like, Elon Musk tweeted a little bit earlier today, and he said next year will be the first time we see AI films come out, because people start making AI feature films and short films completely on their computers, and they won't need anybody else to do that.
Right.
And then me and Craig were talking, and it's like, what a disruption that will exist so soon, and yet all the current movie industry is so against it to the point of banning it from any of their productions. And I'm like, you're going to watch this happen. Like, it's happened over and over again, where everyone like fights the technology. The old guard fights the technology, and then the new guard just invents the new version. Then the blockbusters go out of business, and then there's brand new versions of whatever that used to be. And I love that.
Academy Awards just now. I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
Look at the Academy Awards, because now they allow HBO, Netflix features that were not screened. They're starting to allow them to be up for awards. It's just everything is changing.
That's so funny if you guys haven't heard of that. So basically, for a while, the Academy Awards wasn't allowing films from any of the Amazon Primes or the Netflixes or anything like that. They weren't allowing any of those films to be nominated for any categories unless if they were in a movie theater somewhere in the United States for a period of time. I think it was like 2 weeks. So what Netflix would do is they would just pick a couple of places, open up the films in those places for the 2 weeks, and then boom, it's out of theaters, and now we can be nominated. How stupid of a rule is that? To think that a whole group of hundreds of people can get together and make a piece of art, and then it's not allowed to be nominated for the best award in that art form because it wasn't screened at a movie theater for 50 people in LA. Like, that's weird, isn't it? But that's the way that it is right now. 50. Right.
Yeah. And it's totally weird because, the one thing that I've seen that's been, really, really incredible for 23 is, the ability for someone like me, and of course, Craig and Matt, I couldn't have done it without them, but it's this whole concept of, okay, we're going to pivot, and I'm going to do my very best to do a YouTube live a day. We then made a decision to do this podcast in a blink of an eye, episode 30. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. And then we put together the inner circle, which we always have around 80, 90 people that are always in the inner circle. And it's really neat to spend time with those people and watch those people. Oh my God, I'm in profit. Oh my God, I got a check. Oh my God, I got a rank advance. And one of the things that I just love is that, when you look at all the change that has happened in 23, again, it comes down to that 3 groups of people: the group that doesn't know what's happening, the group that are pissed off that it's happening, and the group that's excited that it's happening. I don't ever think I've said it that
succinctly.
It's always people that are like, I just know that we, Craig and Matt, all of us, I guess, the visionaries with the podcast here, is that, most of the time we really, really embrace change. And, we usually just go all in on change. And sometimes we don't tell people, like we want to do on this on this podcast, is what is that kind of change rewarded you? how has that rewarded you? Because like Matt, you were talking about that, maybe at the beginning of this year, when I started saying I'm going to stop doing Facebook lives and I'm just going to do YouTube lives. And I just can remember at the very beginning of this year that you wasn't as optimistic as you are now. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden
I
you caught on to this AI stuff. And instead of going, well, here's something else that's going to go by me, you actually made a mental decision to go, it's not going by me.
Yeah, well, it's like the all of a sudden, when the shit that you do, you don't really completely enjoy doing, it becomes work.
Yeah.
When those aspects start to become automated and you start to become more of a manager in those situations is when I tend to really shine. So it's like, listen, here's Infusionsoft. Okay, it's going to take me months to figure out how to get sales going and make sure everything's working. But then when it's done, you have that feeling of like automation. You're like, holy shit, every day I wake up and it's like, you do this, you do this. It's more of a managerial position.
Right.
And so now my workflow consists, especially for us, for the Hollis organization, my workflow consists so much of artificial intelligence that it's taking something that used to take me hours and made it like an hour and a half. And because of that, I now feel, I guess, like, of course, I've tried to put more like my foot on the gas and done even more with the AI and didn't necessarily get more results for doing that. So it kind of just showed me, okay, you're supposed to be pushing at this consistency over here while developing this over here. And I think like that was the big shift for me, because I always thought, okay, when am I ever going to like really step away from marketing and do kind of my own thing? Right. And now I'm not only seeing that as like a massive opportunity in my future, but like an inevitability. It's not just an opportunity. So like I see it not just growing. It always felt like I would have to step away from what I'm currently doing. And I never really felt like someone could take my spot. And now I know that that person definitely exists. So it's not that's more the case, is that it's like, okay, I can see myself owning multiple businesses now.
Yeah.
And before I'm like, I ain't no Elon Musk, right? Like I'm not going to run 3 companies, but I'm passionate about multiple things.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I was going to say, this is the second time you brought it up during this podcast here. One of the things that I used to always say, and Robert, when we were with the Gano companies, one thing that I would always say is, I'm not here because I have to be here. I'm here because I want to be here.
That's good.
And that is a big thing. And that's exactly why I'm here. I want to be here. I want to be able to, learn from you. I want to be able to help you. And I'm just so grateful that, that I'm able to work with both of you, because you are both such visionaries. and the three of us, I think,
sweet of you,
work so well together, and it's a collaboration that is incredible, and it feels good. And that's the thing that I think that, a lot of people need to understand is, okay, maybe if you don't like what you're doing now, and we've promoted this many times, don't be, what is it? I forget the exact phrase that Jim Rohn said, you're not a tree, you can move. So I know that's not the exact quote, but it is pretty darn close.
Yeah,
I think it has the same message. So
yeah.
The actual statement is, stop complaining about where you are. You're not a tree.
Thank you.
Ooh, yeah.
Whether you're living there or you're in the same mindset, you know what I mean, as you were, unfortunately, there's a large group of people that don't know this podcast exists, and they probably never will. Yeah, they probably never will. But there's another group of people that will see this and they'll second guess whether or not they should do their own podcast or their own videos. And it was sort of funny where I had this thought the other day, because a lot of times people will stumble into, personal development stuff that they think that I would enjoy. and they'll send it to me and they'll say, hey, check this out. I like this. I like this. I like this. And a lot of times when I glance at it, it's nothing but an excuse or a distraction because
That's
I'm
right.
so honed in. I've always been this way. I look at what other people have and how they're impacting other people. And I find a couple of ones that I'm inspired by, and then I lock onto them. I lock on. I sometimes become obsessive of just learning everything that they know and everything they're doing. And so I know that's a unique thing about me because I see everyone absorbing everyone's stuff.
Well, I
Mhm.
know today too, like
I'm doing like
it was
I don't have time to, watch, webinars or watch stuff on stuff that I'm not interested in doing. It's like me and Matt got caught up years ago uh, with the Frank Kerns, the Brendan Burchards of the world, these guys that are constantly selling courses and upselling people to the next training, next training, next training, next training. And when you really realize that most people will buy a course to make them feel good, like they do an exercise machine, and then they just will not go through it or execute it. And
yeah.
me and Matt, we're not getting any fulfillment from that. And, so there's a lot of things that you have to attempt to do and then go, that's not for us. That's not for us.
Mhm.
But then you find some other things where, Matt, I don't want to get off subject here, but, make it a key note of yourselves to reach out to Kyle, and talk to him about AI. Because
Oh
since the
yeah.
conversation that we had at the Christmas dinner, I've had a couple more conversations with him, and I sat down with him and I showed him some of the stuff that you are creating with AI about the farmer and stuff. And then I showed him our YouTube channel, but then I showed him the spreadsheet, where our first income was 7 cents. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and how we went from a less than $1,000 earned in 2022 to over $10,000 that we earned, this month. And all of a sudden, when we started talking about, the next move for us is teaching people the skills that you and Craig have so that we can have more people that are helping us make this dream come true to get a bigger impact. And all of a sudden, I just stopped and I went, would you be interested in learning how to do this stuff?
Oh, saying that to Kyle.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Kyle said, you know what I like about this? And I said, what? And he says, this is something that you and Matt and Craig are building, and there's not an owner that can mess it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's one
I
thing
was
that I
going,
really he's very true. That's one thing that I find so great and rewarding, even though the process of creating something yourself is very difficult. And him even talking about those streamers with their 16 hours and stuff. It's grueling and there's a lot of work and things that you have to do. Me and Craig are working on stuff while we're not on the podcast, right?
sure.
So we do the podcast
Mhm.
and Dad, of course you're doing stuff. Everybody knows that. But but
I'm
it's
trying to figure out the AI so I get as much time off as you and Craig do. No, I'm
I
kidding.
could show you how to do it. No, the funny thing is it's like I sent my dad a bit ago because my dad goes through phases where he's, like he said, hyper fixated on this person, their success, and you try to like mirror match them and learn as much as you can. And right now it's Alex Hermosi because we want to build our YouTube stuff and we want to make an impact. And this dude started like 2 years ago and like really blew up, right? So
Incredible.
you want to look at the people that are like becoming something now, right, in this current moment. And so he fits in that area. It'll be great one day to talk to him because I'm sure we'll get that. But what's so interesting about watching you go through Hermosi's stuff is I think he identifies so much to Kyle and me and to our generation. And I think that's the thing with you, Dad, is you're always like very open to trying new things and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's not like you're going and reading the same, you do read the same book consistently that's helped you out. but at the same time, you're constantly looking for new information. So I find it really, really cool starting 2024, but also reflecting on 2023 to see the transition of mentors. And you sent me and Craig a video from Alex today, one of his first videos. And you look at the transition that this guy's made in front of the camera, and I honestly think we should post it in the inner circle chat or even in here.
Yeah.
Craig, if you can, because
I'll work on it right now.
When you guys watch this, you'll notice, just like you shared, Dad, you'll notice that he's reading off a script, that he's not really like looking at the screen. His abilities, right? His abilities to project his voice and be excited aren't there in the same way that you know him now and have seen him in. So when you see that stuff, all it does is inspire us, right?
Oh,
because then it goes, we got this, right? There's growth there, and you can see it in him. And that the cool thing about him is he'd say the same thing. So I think that's when you know you're following the right people. So I'd love, Dad, if you would share just a little bit, like what that whole new mentor feeling and what you see as like not just the growth that we've had in 2023 with YouTube, but like where you want it to go in the future, looking at this guy's models and stuff, because I think it's just good to share so other people can.
If someone asked me today, let's say, because here's what I think is the biggest problem in the world. The biggest problem in the world today is exactly the video I did today. Is when someone's thinking about changing what their life would be like, what they do is they mentally look at someone like me or us, and they immediately imagine. Imagination is awesome and imagination is awful. And what they do is they imagine what we do and how we got here, when they couldn't be further from the truth. They just could not be further from the truth. So it's this concept of us believing that we know it all. And if there's anything that I pride myself on, is not knowing. You know,
Right.
I mentally do not stop in my mind and go, I wonder how that's worked. I know that my mind, my soul, my spirit currently doesn't possess the information and wisdom and the work ethic to get that to happen. I just don't know that I don't know. So I'm like not assuming, I was sharing that with Kyle too, is we always assume that we think we know the direction, what it takes, what we got to do. And the difference between the most successful people on the planet that we feel like are obsessive or they're passionate about something is they're doing it because they believe there's a purpose to it. And that purpose could be financial freedom, make a lot of money, or that thing could be impact. I really believe that this information can impact, other people on their journey. And so, that's what I really, really see moving forward is I know that our message and what we love to teach people is a way for them to, learn to feel loved and learn to have value and learn to be enough and learn that, the things that you want most in life, you got to give to yourself before you can give to others. And there's this whole mentality where everyone feels that again, that learned hopelessness, that there's no answer, that I'm stuck here. There's nothing I can do. You know what I mean? There's no way out. That, there's people that are really right now, I'm feeling more than ever because of you becoming who you hang around, listening to other people on social media, is that people really truly believe that this is it. I have no chance. I can't do anything uniquely different. I can't learn to love myself. I can't learn to be enough. I can't learn to understand that I don't need to focus on things externally. It's internally. my joke has always been, and this is not to say other people are doing things wrong. I'm just like, I just don't understand the concept of taking a picture of myself smiling or, you know, duck lips or, and please listen to me when I say this. I mentally do not understand or feel why I need a photograph of myself just to share with people. I'd rather post something that could help somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of those things too. It's like the difference in personalities, right? Like I think it's really cool. It's really cool when you can take the time to reflect on the things that make you happy and the things that don't. And even if it's the social media stuff that you're talking about, like if you spent most of 2023 posting pictures of yourself or things like that, and you don't feel any happier by that experience, then maybe it's time to eliminate that, because the thing that sucks is you get yourself kind of trapped in this game of like likes and dislikes and these types of things that are scientifically shown to cause mental health issues. So it's like in my life, if I take a selfie of myself, I don't post it anywhere. I took it for myself because I was like, I look good today. I want to remember how I looked. That's a self-confidence thing. And then years go by and I'm flipping through my pictures and I go, holy shit, I remember when I got that haircut. I remember when I tried that out. You know, I had blonde hair for a little while. I remember that.
Yeah, if I took a picture like that, it would be with the person that cut my hair.
Well,
you know
and
what I
that's
mean?
it too.
And they'd be holding Og Mandino's book. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. To me, it's like, yes, social media is a great way to connect, but do I need to share what I'm having for dinner? Maybe if it's special, okay, or I'm with, my girlfriend or family members, and we want to remember a moment that we can share. But I'm not going to sit there and every single day go click, 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 click. It just, there's more to life than living on the social medias. And not that they're not an important part of our lives, because now they are, but it's a balance. And I know we've
Yeah,
talked
it's
about
really
balance before.
learning. In my opinion, it's really learning not to say that I believe that you should be doing things that you love, not doing what other people do,
Yes.
expecting the same results as them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I got to thinking a little bit as we were talking about this subject, what a year it's been for us. And it's like, again, I just would ask each and every one of you to challenge yourselves and learning from someone that inspires you. So, I know I'm going to go off the deep end here and maybe we could go back to the title, but it's like, I guess if you had an OnlyFans account, maybe there's a reason to do a lot of photographs and videos of yourself.
That's the job.
So if that's what you're inspiring to be, that's what I see a lot of people probably being very, very unhappy in 23 when they're looking at the results and whatever. It's just what we're doing. It was because we mentally looked at ourselves and went, hey, Higdon's doing, or Eric Warrior's doing, or other people are doing this. And you really don't realize that, the way they make money is not the way that I want to make money. You know what I mean? It's like, so Matt's known me for a long time. And when I left my mentor, I'd seen my mentor make $12 million in a weekend by doing a very expensive training for $850, and then you got 7,000 people that show up. That's a pretty good payday. And so, but my thoughts were like Tony Robbins or Brendan Burchard or my mentor, Bill Gould, that I would love to put that kind of training seminar together. And I've shared that with Craig ever since I've known him, until you realize that the reason you're doing it is because you're doing it because other people did it.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you don't try things, but I think what's so interesting is that even going back to like what I shared a little bit earlier with like the old ways of doing things, right? I'm sitting here and I'm that person that's like, I all day long, I'm tapped into all of this technology stuff because it's just my passion. It's something I'm very passionate about. And so today I'm watching them do recording memories with the Vision Pro, right? Like full three-dimensional memories with the Apple Vision Pro and stuff that you can save and relive anytime you want to. And then I'm watching this dude, he took this camera and he walked through his old family house and he's like, now it's immortalized in 3D and I can walk through it in VR anytime I want to for the rest of my life, right? And the fire pits or the fireplace is moving and I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm going, we are so close to VR and AR being at the point where you will not have to leave and get on a plane and go get a hotel room to sit with thousands of other people and be mentored by this stuff.
We're already doing
to be
that,
connected,
really.
to do it. We are, but the physicality of it is such a change. You know what I mean? If you've ever been, what's so interesting is I'm sure not a lot of people here have messed around with a lot of like the VR chat type stuff or anything like that. But there's this platform called VR chat, and it's the biggest probably metaverse that exists currently. You could basically go on there and talk to anybody, and that's the whole point, is to get on and talk to people, right? So the platform keeps growing and growing. There was HBO did a whole documentary about this platform because now there's whole entire classrooms where people are teaching each other sign language and things in this community, or new languages, or they're learning new different things. And this isn't structured. This isn't a curriculum. People are just showing up and doing this every week. They're like, if you show up every week, I'm going to sit in front of this classroom and I'm going to teach you sign language. And it's like so interesting to see because I grew up with YouTube and the ability to share information so freely and quickly, but then lacking that aspect of it where you're connecting with the person that's sharing the information.
The live interaction.
And going, okay, that's the difference between school and doing something at home, right? You actually have that physicality aspect there. And then watching that dissolve away over the next couple of years to the point where you're going to be able to take sunglasses on and off, Ray-Ban sunglasses on and off, and be able to be part of one of those seminars and sit there and see someone like my dad on stage inspire you. And then go, okay, I was there with all those people, a week went by, and then you go, God, I lost that motivation. I wish I was back in that moment. And you can actually put the glasses on and relive that moment. The excitement of it, the people that were there, the things that were said in a virtual space instead of just recollecting or going through your journals after you've lost that seminar excitement. So I'm very excited because when you say stuff like that, Dad, I'm going 12. You could sell as many tickets as you want,
right?
You know, and it's forever, right? So it is very cool because I do think we'll try to do some stuff like that for sure, but it'll be different because we adapt and try new things.
As it goes together again. My whole dream for 2024 is the same as 23, is the same as, believe it or not, as 22, as 21. It is how fast and how straight to the point that I can affect someone's thought patterns and their paradigms and their philosophies to get them just to ask themselves some different questions to get different results. And, you know, I just would challenge every one of you out there that didn't have a good 2023 is that, don't duplicate it in 24. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why you're saying
out of your box.
And we've had shorts that have done really well from the videos that you've done about taking inventory and stuff in 20 for what you did. And it's like the clothes that the Benjamin Franklin clothes where you like split down the middle, the pros and cons of things. And if you do that really for your year, it's like what you said, you put your pros on one side. What did I do great this year that I'm really proud of myself?
Yeah.
What did I do? And this is also connects to that training that you shared from Alex Hermosi, which is like, it's a lot easier to think of shit to not do than it is to think about shit to do.
Yep.
So it's like now when you have a pros and cons list, now you go, what do I want to do in 2024? Lose weight. Okay, I can think of the things that would stop me from losing weight. Probably eating McDonald's is going to stop me from losing weight.
Yeah.
So I need to avoid eating McDonald's. And it's like easier to think of that than think of how many sit-ups you have to do to burn McDonald's. That's not a good thought, is it?
Yeah.
No. No.
So
No.
I'm with you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I
How about you, Craig? What has been a good year for you? Now I know. Haven't you been with Susan for a couple of years already?
Yeah, 2 years and 4.5 months.
you guys were international travelers this year too. So
We were
that's
exactly, and it's so, I know you two have had, your significant others for some time, but it is so fun to be with somebody for the very first time and to share experiences. And that's the one thing that I am enjoying. And I'm going to say that, 23, it was okay as a start, but it's ending really, really well because of opening up and letting things happen and
Yeah.
being aware. You always say, Robert, awareness, awareness,
Yeah.
awareness, and just looking outside the box. Sue and I are gonna we're gonna go on a mini vacation come after the first of the year, and looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to many more great things ahead. And I'm not talking about just between Sue and I'm talking about with us and other projects that are going to be coming up. I know that they're going to happen. Learning all of this new technology, learning to understand what we have shared with everybody just on this. Okay. And I'm going to say, since May 24th of 2023, that's when we started these podcasts.
Wow.
And what a fun growth this has been just for the three of us, and not even just the three of us, just for everybody in I can't say the word. Everybody in general.
that happens to me. My brain's thinking, my mouth's moving, but
Exactly.
they're not correlating together.
But it's like, okay, you get a good momentum going and you just keep rolling with it, keep rolling with it, keep rolling with it. You've always inspired me to do things, Robert, and even more this year because I see what things are happening. And Matt, even with you've been a great inspiration as well. And the fact that we look at things the way we do, we interact, and we move forward with them, whether it is this podcast, whether it is Ask Me Anythings, whether it is the inner circle or just things in general. The ability to contribute, the ability to be who we are and share who we are. It to me, at least for this year, it's grown incredibly well. And next year, you said it earlier, Robert, 24 is the year I want more.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
More in 24.
24.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with you guys completely with the more in 24 thing. I think I honestly think everything by the end of 2024 will be it will make not just the views and everything and the following, but we'll dwarf that by quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think when I look back at 2023, it was like, what do we really want to do in this brave new world that's about to happen? And then at the same time, you're like, well, I want to do something, but I also want to like what I do. Like, I want to like what I do.
God,
right.
So important.
And so I see 2023 as like a year of learning for us and for me. It was like a year of going through and going, okay, what do I actually want to put my time, energy, and effort into? Not just for the next year, but maybe the next 5 years. Right. And look at life. For me, at least, it's funny because you'll have all these things like the Vision Lakhani meditation and stuff talk about visualizing the future. But for me, it's always been easier to visualize longer ahead than it is to visualize closer, because I always have this feeling that whatever I visualize is not going to happen. Right. Like odds are it's going to change or something will change. But I think this was the first time ever this year where I start to go, yeah, I don't know what the next 5 years will be like, but I know they're going to be really good. Like, I just feel
Yeah.
differently
That's how I
about
feel
it.
too, man. It because
Like, I
the
might not
fact
be able to guess,
the
but
direction we're
I
yeah.
can be excited nonetheless. And I think that fear of something going wrong has really gone away. It's
you know
so
how empowering it is, Matt. And I'm really, really, really proud of you. It when you're able to change your state,
yeah.
because people have said this about me all the time. They're going, Robert, you're so optimistic and you're always giggling and laughing. You're always having a good time. And I'm going like, okay, so let's just say that something happens and I'm no longer here. That's the way people are going to remember me. They're going to
Yeah.
remember me of being constantly challenging myself, doing things like someone reached out to me just recently and go, are you going to do a live on Christmas Day? Are you going to do a live on holidays? And I'm like, I love doing lives.
Also, if you guys have seen the
I
messages
love
that
doing
we
lives.
get,
I don't
yeah.
have a lifestyle that I need a day off from.
That's a good quote.
That is good.
It's a shirt right there. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's so, I don't know. I don't want to step over what you were sharing because it's just
No.
beautiful stuff. But it really, yeah, it really is. Like, I agree with you. So
Yeah, because I can remember, have I had bad months and bad years? Yeah, but I was still optimistic in the middle of it. I was always like,
right.
you know, I always believe and still believe to this day that everything that I'm currently doing right now is going to lead to something better.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this sounds weird, but I think that I probably got this from Abraham Hicks. But it's the thought that what you want to accomplish for others, what you would like to do for others, that when you really have a clear definition of what that is, that the world will conspire, the universe will conspire to make that happen for you. And I've seen such a change in even Craig and Matt where it just feels that way right now. It feels to me like our goal as Hollis organization is to impact millions and millions and millions of people. And so the universe is conspiring right now for us to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
it's weird because I'm such a like analytical person. So the whole
right,
conspiring, the universe conspiring to help, but at the same time, it's it's so like it is definitely like a euphoric feeling, I would say, that I feel because, and I was sharing this with Craig, but it's like my whole dream and vision. When I said I view things very far into the future, I always think of exactly what you shared. Kyle does. I do too. And
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of us do, where I'm going, I would love to direct a film. The time, energy, effort, pain is all the things that I would have to do, distance from my family, distance from my friends, putting myself in a very stressful environment. All of those things, does that correlate with the life that I want to live?
right.
And I always would lean back and go like, God, it would be really great if I could just make video games in my office and go have lunch with my family and dinner with my family and then come home and work or stay and work. I grew up that way.
Yep.
Like, I go check out my dad's stuff and we'd all eat dinner together and stuff. So it's like, I want that, but knowing being a filmmaker would take me away from that. Knowing the divorce rate of filmmakers is massive. Like
Yeah.
it's a grueling process where you're away from your family for 6 months at a time,
Right.
sometimes longer. So it was always something that I just feared because I'm like, God, it's like that whisper. I know this is what I'm meant to be doing, telling stories in a visual medium. I know this is it. But at the same time, I love the flexibility of the life that I live now and how I get to maintain and keep such great relationships with people. And I enjoy that. And then watching technology almost like bend and go, oh, nope, you're going to get that and
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? thinking that I could start a studio of the future with a bunch of other creative people, and we don't have to have a structure that we all sit in. No one's doing that anymore. Most people want to work from home and work on those things. So it's more of like a collective, and then doing that even here, right? Like I have 2 things going on right now. I have a whole nother group of people that are into the AI filmmaking and stuff that I'm in, that I'm talking to and hanging out with all the time. Then over here, I got the Hollis organization with Craig and my dad building that with all of you guys. And I'm watching both these communities just like grow and grow and grow, and more tools being available to make them grow. Like I said, not only the seminar stuff, but to think like how great those character animations and stuff are going to be, and the impact that those will make when they're out. To think
I was explaining that to Kyle about again,
which will be next year. I'm so excited to share that stuff with you guys.
It's there's all these stories that and parables and stuff that I know that we're going to change the world. The one that I shared with Kyle yesterday.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I have them right here. At least you've shared those with me, Robert, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
I never thought about those. If you got a way to, I know that Matt's probably got those, but
I don't. No, the thing is when we deleted everything from Wistia, all the character stuff was gone, because this is my 3rd computer since I recorded those characters. Wow. So I have it on a hard drive, maybe somewhere or maybe not. But what's so interesting is me and my dad had to sit down and kind of like go over with the farmer, because that would be that's the first character animation we want to do and release to you guys. And it's like, okay, what do we want to be in this from that or not? And it's like trying to remember certain bits and pieces and stuff. And it's fun. And I know we'll have to do it again, but it's like,
take pictures of them, Craig, and send them.
Scan them.
Yeah. I will get those to you guys.
But I was telling Kyle about this story, and I would have to look it up. We would make it way better anyway. But so if I'm adding to it, just a quick story was, I was telling Kyle that all of a sudden his son graduated from high school, and so he said to himself, I really don't know what I want to do. And so the father said to his son, well, I'd like to teach you something if you wouldn't mind. And he goes, sure. And so what he did is he went in the house. It was up in a closet. It was a shoebox. And he opens it up and he hands his son a rock. And he hands it to him and he says, so I don't want you to sell this rock, but I want you to go down to the market, where all the market is, and they're selling food and vegetables and stuff. But I want you to go to the market and just simply ask people if they would be interested in buying this rock from you. And so he went there and he said, don't sell it, and just come home and tell me what happened. So he said he went to every booth that was in the marketplace, and there was one guy that was nice to him and said, I'll give you $1 for it. But the rest of the people said, I'm not interested. I don't need a rock. I don't need a rock. And he goes, and he said, and the guy goes, wow, the father goes, that's great. So now I want you to go. I did the research. I know where this guy lives, but I want you to go, and he's a gemologist. So he does a study of rocks. And he said, so I just want you to go and really watch his face and his expressions. And so the guy brings the rock to him, and the gemologist starts looking at it, and he gets this really, crazy look on his face. And he goes, do you know what you want for the rock? And the kid said, no. And he says, I'll give you $1,000 for the rock. And he goes, wow. He said, well, I need to talk to my dad first. And so he came back home and he goes, the gemologist said that he would give me $1,000 for the rock. And he goes, what did that make you feel? And he goes, well, it's pretty interesting that he would say that it's worth $1,000 when other people see no value in it at all. And he goes, okay. He said, so now I want you to go to this museum. And he said, so go to the museum. This is the guy you want to talk to. And so he goes to the museum and he finds this guy. And as soon as he holds out the rock, He goes, does your dad want to sell it? Is your dad interested in selling it now? And the kid goes, I don't know. And he says, well, we've thought a lot about it. There's only one other museum in the world that has a rock like that. And we're willing to give you $2 million for it. And he goes, I don't understand. What kind of rock is it? And he says, it's a piece off a meteor that's actually older than the earth. Your dad shared this with me before. And he goes, well, I need to talk to my dad. So he goes back and he says, this guy said he'd give you $2 million for it right now. And he goes, nah, I'm not interested in selling it. And he said, well, why did you have me do all that stuff? And he said, I wanted to teach you before you go out in the world that depending on who you're around is going to tell you how valuable you are. And you got to be fucking smart enough to hang around people that see your value.
I hope everybody heard that.
I was full screen for that one.
OMG.
And sometimes we're around a bunch of people that don't see any value in us unless we do what they think we should do. And even then, they don't see value in you. So you got to get around a bunch of people that fucking see your value. And what do you think happens when you hang around people that are more valuable than you? Because I love this phrase. You're never going to have someone that's worth more than you tell you that what you're doing, thinking about building your own business with leverage, you're never going to have someone doing better than you that says that you're an idiot. Every entrepreneur in the world, if you ask them, should you risk it all? Should you risk it all and become an entrepreneur? And they'll go, yeah. Because every skill that you learn being around this group of people thinking that way is another stepping stone to where you're going. And entrepreneurs know that majority of the shit that they try to do fails. But again, it got them to that lesson that they need to learn to get them to the next spot. And unfortunately, the people that are successful know that people have to work through those things. They have to be all of a sudden going, so now what would be that kid's opinion if he ran into some other people that he met at the marketplace? He looks at them like they're fucking idiots. They didn't know. But see, ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance just means that you don't know that you don't know. But I shared that parable with Kyle last night because I knew Matt would be going, oh, and Craig would be going, here we go.
No, I mean, that is wonderful. Like, I think that not only does it, I'm seeing people in chat go, wow, and stuff, but
Exactly.
It really does say a lot in a short span of time, right? About perceived value and putting yourself around people that value you. And especially what you were saying in the later half, like people that actually are more valuable than you. That's one of those really interesting things, is like a lot of people will be absolutely supportive and helpful, even if they're way high up on the ladder, if they know you're serious and they know that your passion is in the right spot. Like, it's such a different communication with people when you have that. So
well, you just brought up a very important point.
Yeah.
If I reached out to Joe Rogan today and told him, hey, I'd be interested in being on your podcast, he would have to do his research or have his researchers do research to see what value I brought to his audience. But if you really listen to Joe Rogan, he has such a great podcast because he wants to interview and talk to people on stuff that he's interested in learning. So people don't understand that Joe Rogan's podcast is not for a way for him to get more views and still be number one. It's that he's very inquisitive about certain shit.
Well, I mean, you're definitely going to talk about stuff in a better way if you're excited about it and interested, right? So, you know, like I think anytime you try, and this is one of those really interesting things, but anytime you try to develop or build something that is not uniquely you and yours, you're always gonna, I think, gonna have that detachment and commitment to it. And it's interesting because you really can beat yourself up and go, listen, I don't know if I should be on this path or should be doing this. And that's kind of what you were explaining earlier, right? With us. Is it's like, it does really take you doing the thing that you want to do for you to actually tune into it. And that doesn't mean it needs to be forever, right? Which is what you're saying as well. I think, you know, I don't know what technologies will exist 15, 20 years from now that will make the 5-year version of me go, oh, I can't believe I was doing that 5 years ago, right? And so to think, you know, that all these different things are going to exist. And I love where Kyle's headspace even is right now. Cause I remember being in a similar spot where it's like, you're really
you actually, instead of living in the moment, you all of a sudden
dreaming,
open up your mind a little bit and go, I'm nobody and I've done nothing.
Well, that's going to exist forever.
Yeah. So you actually pop out of that awareness thing and you go, who am I? I haven't accomplished anything. I haven't done anything. I have no value. I'm not enough. And I was able to tell Kyle, I said, you know, it wasn't even 3 years ago. I said, when your father reached out during this time, it was in December, second guessing everything that I was doing. And I reached out to Valinda Dupree, and she did an audio for me so that I could reprogram my feelings and my thinkings that I was enough. I go, so if that was 2, 3, or even 4 years ago, we're talking about my late 50s. I'm still having thoughts in my head if whether or not I'm enough. So I said, for you to have these thoughts at 30 is probably pretty good than your late 50s.
Well, that's the thing, you know, like Hannah has this awesome aunt named Kathy, and every single time we come to her with our problems, and Dad, you and Mom are similar, it's like, I very proud that we're actually doing this shit now at 30. You're like, wait a minute, like, so I try to reflect on that, and that's the thing that I think is great to see with Kyle, is like, I think in general, it's always good to see someone go, I am in that stage where I want to find something that I want, that's new, something that's exciting, something that's, and I think the I'm not enough part does come from like, well, it goes all the way back to even the stuff with the entrepreneur stuff. It's like, you have to kind of gaslight yourself to a certain extent and say, I am worthy of these things, until you feel that way.
Yeah,
because
you gotta
it's kind of hard to get started without it, but at the same time,
where I was going through the enough feelings,
right,
where I was going through the enough feelings was just because other people won't listen to me and won't execute on the stuff that I tell them. See, that's where it was coming from. And Matt seen me go through this when we were building my brand. You know, it's that, okay, if I'm all this in a bag of chips, then why isn't anybody listening to me, and why isn't anyone getting results? Because they won't do what I tell them to do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not me being enough. It's them feeling like they are not enough.
Exactly.
That they can't pull it off, that they don't believe that they can do it. And so
people getting in their own way.
Why am I not enough? I don't know. I'm human. I'm just human, that I'm going like, you know, it's like, it doesn't make a difference what you do in life if you don't feel like you're adding value to other people's lives. For me, different personalities, right? For me, because I even look at people that are really, really successful, and they're constantly trying to find other ways for other people to get it. So I now know that we have enough information on our YouTube channel where people can get to a 1.2 million a year.
Mhm.
And if they can't find the time to go through it and they're too busy to plug into what we're doing, all they're going to notice is every 3 months, 4 months, if they continue to check on us, is that our audience is bigger, our subscribers are bigger, the amount of impact that we're doing for other people is bigger. Because we're just going to do what we say that we're going to do. And again, I believe that the world is conspiring for us so that we can do that. Because I
Yeah.
know for a fact, the things that we all go through an emotional level, that's what I know that AI is going to lag behind on. I was even
It's interesting. I want that's one of those things that like I really I've harped on quite a bit on here, that I think that that's one of those areas that AI really is going to struggle with, is that while everyone's transitioning into, like, think of it this way, right? And I said this before probably, but imagine a world where a lot of the monotonous shit you don't have to do. And by humans' very nature, we're creative. How do I know that? Hang out with a child, you know what I mean? You'll see how creative they are. We're naturally that way. We want to share things that impact us.
imagination, awe. This
Yeah,
is amazing. You see a
right.
young child see a fish for the first time.
Or ice cream, or
Or
try ice cream, or anything like that, right?
a pet,
But
you know what I mean?
but
Yeah.
there's a bottleneck there right now where people feel like their creativity and stuff is hindered, and they feel like giving up because the amount of work, time, and effort, they're already wondering how they're going to fit that in while they're surviving.
Right.
So